to thank one of my subscribers, Jamal Bay, for sending this story. Jeff Sessions, y'all, have the remedy to stop the opioid plague in America. He's got the answer, y'all. Not only is he attorney Jeff Sessions, he's Dr. Jeff Sessions. Jeff Sessions says people should tough it out and take aspirin instead of opioids. I think I like Jeff Sessions' plan. What do y'all think? Yes, opioid junkies, take aspirin instead of opioids. You be okay, per Jeff Sessions. U.S. Attorney General Jeff Sessions recently shared his idea for solving the opioid plague: aspirin, sleep, and less marijuana. There you go. That's all you need to do to get off of opioids. Put down the fentanyl, put down the heroin, take aspirin. Sound like the Russian plan to me. All right. Speaking at an event in Tampa on Tuesday to celebrate Ronald Reagan's birthday, Sessions said his goal for 2018 is to see a greater decline in the amount of opioids prescribed. He said last year there was a 7% decline. That's not the answer. The doctors really technically can stop writing scripts altogether. I promise you, everybody up in this bitch will go to the illegal drug. That's what would happen. We think doctors are just prescribing too many. Sometimes you just need 2 Bufferin or something and go to bed, Jeff Sessions said. These pills become so addictive. See, Jeff Sessions said, take 2 Bufferins and take your ass to bed. That's to all of you opioid, heroin, fentanyl junkies out here, carfentanil. Take 2 Bufferin and take your ass to bed. That'll resolve your your addiction right there. There's no need to have rehab or treatment or drug court. Just do what Jeff Sessions say. I like his remedy, y'all. you know, but this is also a clear indicator. Just read between the lines. You notice he's not talking about getting hard on them or a war on drugs. You notice he's not talking about locking these people up for doing these excessive opioids out here. He's not talking all tough. You know why? Because these are white people. And this is an indicator right there. Now, if he was talking marijuana, Sessions would be talking about um, jail and sentencing, and this is what's going to happen to people on marijuana, because he knows a lot of those people are black. You know, he has a whole different tone when he's talking about marijuana. But when he's talking about these opioid and these illicit drug junkies out here, he's got a whole different tone. Just take notice. And Jeff Sessions go on to say Bufferin is an over-the-counter aspirin with anti-acid. Sessions said, according to the Drug Enforcement Agency, a huge percentage of heroin addiction starts with opioid prescriptions. That may be an exaggerated number. They had it as high as 80%. I don't think that's an exaggerated number, Jeff Sessions, but let's go on. We think a lot of this is starting with marijuana and other drugs too, Sessions said. But that's bullshit, because there's a lot of black people doing marijuana and they're not turning to opioids because they do marijuana. Okay, let's go on. But we'll see what the facts show. But we need to reduce the prescription abuse. and hopefully reduce the addiction that's out there. Now, you see that? Take 2 aspirins and go to bed. That'll resolve your opioid issue. Oh, Jeff Sessions is a trip. On Wednesday, Sessions doubled down on his previous remarks during a speech to Tampa law enforcement. I am operating on the assumption that this country prescribes too many opioids. People need to take some aspirin sometimes and tough it out a little bit, Sessions said, then cited White House Chief of Staff John Kelly as someone who refused to take painkillers after a surgery on his hand. You can get through these things. Okay, so take 2 aspirins or do what John Kelly did. After your surgery, take no painkillers at all and tough it out. This is what Jeff Sessions recommend. So the next time you see an opioid addict on the street, tell them to stop and just do what Jeff Sessions say. Take 2 Bufferin and get your ass in the bed. Session remarks were met with criticism from the chronic pain community, who explained that pain relief isn't always as simple as taking aspirin and going to bed. Now, let's see what some of these tweets say after Session said this mess. Now, this one is from WB DeVette the third. As I'm one of those chronic pain sufferers, complex regional pain syndrome, allow me to address the obviously ignorant AG who has no idea what he's talking about. Chronic pain sufferers are some of the toughest people that you'll ever encounter. Yeah, and the hardest on opioids, tough guy. All right, let's go to the next one. Randy Farrell said, little Jeff Sessions had obviously never been in chronic pain. Let him live a week with what I endure day in, day out. He'll be singing a different tune. He should legalize marijuana for people in chronic pain so they can wean off of opioids. That's America, one drug for another. M. Basil says, I may not play a doctor on TV, but I am a real one, and I think Jeff Sessions is the worst man in America to be giving medical advice or creating health care policy. Oh, man. Now here's Sessions' comments are at odds with data on opioid use and addiction. The opioid plague it claimed approximately 63,000 lives in 2016, according to the data from the National Centers for Health Statistics. However, synthetic opioids like fentanyl cause about a third of these deaths, which have increased 88% per year since 2013. Heroin caused about a fourth, and prescription opioids caused 23%, down from 26% in 2009. Studies show the majority of people prescribed opioids do not become addicted. Only between 1 and 12% develop an addiction. Well, you know why they got addictions? Like I said, they overprescribe to white people and underprescribe to black. And I do know this because, as I had told you before in a previous video, I had surgery in 2006. And the doctor gave me this little amber bottle to get me through a week. Okay. And there was a white young lady that worked in my group. You know, I was her manager. And she pulled out this big mega bottle. And she had the same drug. We had the same exact drug. We had hydrocodone. Mine was a tiny little amber bottle. Hers had to be clearly a 60-day supply of the opioids. So that's why they got strung out on opioids, because really their doctors did it going on the belief that we didn't feel pain. White people feel pain, we don't. So in a sense, they spared us. I'm glad they did that. Now that I look back, thank you, white people. Thank you for believing that black people don't feel pain, because you could have had us fucked up on opioids just like you. Thank you. I won't thank you for anything else, but I will thank you for that, because it's been 20 years long of the doctors over-prescribing to white people and under-prescribing to black people. This didn't just start, y'all. This started back in the 90s. They started doing that. And they have always done it ever since. Okay. And a 2017 study found that 51.9% of people entering treatment for opioid use disorder started with prescription opioids, which is down from 84.7% in 2005. Among those, research has found that 75% of all opioid misuse start with medication not prescribed to them. So, in other words, white people are taking each other's meds. That's what they're doing. And having parties and giving out opioids to people at the parties, or selling opioids, selling the pills, so many dollars per pill. And that's how many of them, in fact, that's how the majority of them are getting their opioids, from other white people with opioids. Or they're stealing them. You know, like a lot of their teens steal their medicine and take their medicine of their parents. Okay. Research has also suggested that marijuana is correlated with lower opioid use. Studies have found that states that legalize marijuana dispensaries have fewer opioid deaths, and that chronic pain patients who use marijuana use less opioids. So there you go. There you go. Jeff Sessions' remedy to opioid, and all of you people out here strung out on drugs, take 2 Bufferins and go to bed. So there you go. Not talking about jailing them. Let me go back to that. Not talking about jailing them. Not talking about punishing them. Not talking about rehab. 2 Bufferins and go to bed. But when Jeff Sessions talks about marijuana, he talks about maximum sentences and prosecutors going tougher and mass incarceration again of these marijuana users. You see how his tone is very different from when he's talking about marijuana and jailing people? Maximum minimums and everything. That's what he be talking about when it's marijuana. But when it's the opioid, take 2 aspirins and go to bed. Please tell me what you think, ladies and gentlemen. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell twice. Join me over on Black Junction TV or blackspot.com. And if you can become a patron, I would appreciate it, or make a donation through PayPal. Peace, family.